The 2023 Big 12 women's volleyball schedule has been announced, and every team will play 18 matches over 10 weeks, with six series matches and six singles matches. Like the series matches, as in like two matches in 2 days, and it'll play each other at least. Everybody's going to play each other at least once. So now I'm going to go over like September 20th is Houston at BYU. September 21st is UCF at Cincinnati, Iowa State at West Virginia, TCU at Kansas State. September 22nd is UCF at Cincinnati, Iowa State at West Virginia, Kansas at Texas Tech, TCU at Kansas State, Texas at Oklahoma. Now September 23rd is Baylor at BYU, Kansas at Texas Tech, Texas at Oklahoma. September 27th is Kansas State at West Virginia. September 28th, BYU at Texas, Oklahoma at UCF, Texas Tech at TCU. September 29th is Baylor at Iowa State, BYU at Texas, Houston at Kansas, Oklahoma at UCF, Texas Tech at TCU. September 30th, Baylor at Iowa State, Cincinnati at Kansas State, Houston at Kansas. October 4th is just UCF at Texas Tech. October 5th is Kansas at Texas, Kansas State at Baylor. October 6th is Cincinnati at TCU, Kansas at Texas, Kansas State at Baylor, West Virginia at Houston, Texas Tech at Iowa State. October 7th is BYU at Oklahoma, Cincinnati at TCU, West Virginia at Houston. October 11th, Iowa State at Kansas State, West Virginia at UCF, TCU at Oklahoma. October 12th is Baylor at Cincinnati. October 13th is Baylor at Cincinnati again. Texas at Houston, Texas Tech at BYU. October 14th, Kansas State at UCF, Oklahoma at Kansas, TCU at West Virginia, Texas at Houston, Texas Tech at BYU. October 18th is Texas at TCU. October 19th, Cincinnati at West Virginia, Iowa State at BYU, Kansas State at Oklahoma. October 20th, UCF at Baylor, Cincinnati at West Virginia, Houston at Texas Tech, Iowa State at BYU, Kansas State at Oklahoma. October 21st, UCF at Baylor, Houston at Texas Tech, Kansas at TCU. October 25th, Texas Tech at Cincinnati. October 26th, Baylor at Texas, BYU at Kansas State, TCU at UCF, West Virginia at Kansas. October 27th is Baylor at Texas again, BYU at Kansas State, Oklahoma at Iowa State, TCU at UCF, West Virginia at Kansas. October 28th is Houston at Cincinnati, Oklahoma at Iowa State. November 1st is Oklahoma at Baylor. November 2nd is Texas at West Virginia. November 3rd is UCF at Houston, Cincinnati at BYU, Iowa State at TCU, Kansas State at Kansas, Texas at West Virginia. On November 4th, Baylor at Texas Tech, UCF at Houston, Cincinnati at BYU, Iowa State at TCU, Kansas State at Kansas. November 8th is Texas at Kansas State. November 9th is BYU at UCF, Houston at Oklahoma, West Virginia at Texas Tech. November 10th are the following games: BYU at UCF, Houston at Oklahoma, Kansas at Iowa State, TCU at Baylor, West Virginia at Texas Tech. November 11th, Cincinnati at Texas, Kansas at Iowa State, TCU at Baylor. November 15th, Baylor at Kansas, Iowa State at Texas. Iowa State at Texas, yep. TCU at Houston. November 17th, Iowa State at Houston, Kansas at BYU, Oklahoma at Cincinnati, Texas Tech at Kansas State. November 18th, Texas at UCF, Oklahoma at Cincinnati, Texas Tech at Kansas State, West Virginia at Baylor. November 22nd, BYU at West Virginia, UCF at Iowa State, Houston at Baylor, Kansas at Cincinnati, Oklahoma at Texas Tech. November 25th, BYU at TCU, UCF at Kansas, Cincinnati at Iowa State, Kansas State at Houston, Texas Tech at Texas, and West Virginia at Oklahoma. And no team will play more than 2 matches in conference in a week. They're guaranteed to at least play one. It's no more than 2. And I think that's a good thing in terms of conference. We'll have to wait and see what happens this year and how the Big 12 shakes up. But I expect Texas to be at the top. So, anyways, if you like this content, like and subscribe it. And see you guys later. Find subscribers. We're on the road to it. Let's go.